when we get to France or the checkpoint where the guys are holding machine guns, he said, before we get there, we're going to switch seats and we're going to drive it through that section. I'm heading to Disney with my kid, going through a nasty separation. My dad's dying, tough time. So I got all these cars and everything's lovely in my life. Heading to Disney World, I get a text message or an email on my BlackBerry. It says, how much for the 87 Countach? I write back, which one? Because I have two of them, the fuel injected and a downdraft. He says, the red car, the downdraft. I write the number. His response is, send me your wire instructions and a copy of the title. So I called my girl, my title girl. I said, I don't know if this is a real deal, because it never goes that easy. Give me your wire instructions on an email, but can you send a copy of the title to this email? So Monday I get back from Disney World. My son says, hey, Dad, didn't you sell the Countach or you were supposed to get a deposit? I call my banker. He says you got the full payment. I'm like, get out of here. He says, this doesn't happen like this. Get on the phone with Switzerland, Rebellion Racing. We want to have the car delivered by Christmas. Is that possible? The car shows up on time. Gets there but the day before Christmas, which is crazy, right? On my website, my .com site, I make this page that says Rienzi Racing coming soon. It was going to be go-kart racing for car dealers. I don't know anything about racing at all. The car showed up, everything's great. I noticed on your website, it says Rienzi Racing. Would you join us in Sebring? I'm a privateer, whatever they call that, LMP1 race team for 24 hours, Le Mans, whatever. Sure, I'm like, oh, I'll go hang out in Sebring. And I don't like to leave, so I'm like a 2-hour drive or an hour drive to Sebring. It's like, all right, let me go hang out with these guys. We go straight rock star. I got them at the Patron Tequila bar, and they're enjoying my company. I'm enjoying them, but I mean, I got them crazy. We're all having shots, having a great time. Hey, Tony, give me a list of 10 cars. They're picking my brain. What do you think's next? And then he says, what'd you pay for the car? And I tell him versus what I sold it for, and he's like, what? I said, you got to trust me. These are all $1 million cars soon. These cars are going up. He said, I don't know about that, but this is a car I wanted to fill. He names all the cars he has, the Lambos. He said, this is one that I needed. And I didn't know if it bothered him that I told him what I paid for it, but I'm like, profit's not a dirty word, I paid $160,000 for the car. Sold it for $279,000, something like that. So it was like a $119,000 deal. Dialed the car in. Me and Andrew videoed the whole thing, sanded it, polished it. I had asked him after he brought the Veyron back, we're eating pizza. And he says, you know where I found the car? I said, no. He said, I Google searched Countach for sale and all your YouTube videos popped up. He said, you were the only guy with all these cars. We have a great time in Sebring. I get back, I get another email. And the email says, we had a great time hanging out with you in Sebring. How would you like to join us in the most difficult race in Le Mans? Now, at this time, my dad's got surgery lined up. He's got a bad heart. He's really sick, my dad. Me and my ex-wife are we're 24 years together, and it was a great relationship. This year, it was horrible. So I'm going through a rough time. I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to go. My buddy mechanic said, if you don't go, I'm going to kick the shit out of you. Do you have any idea? And he races. He's like, do you have any idea how big this is? So I'm like, yeah, it's a big trip. I don't like to even go to Sebring, let alone another country. Like, it's not for me. I'm going through a tough time. So I say, okay, I'll go, get my passport, I get everything together. Fly to Switzerland. They tell me, when you go outside, look at the mountains. It's it's a beautiful view. We got you right on the lake, Lake Evian, Lake Geneva. I don't know which one it was. So I come out, it's a cloudy day and it's miserable. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't know. I'm not a race fan, number one. I'm going through a bad time. It's like, I have no good feelings at all. When I land at the airport, he says, look for the Rebellion driver. So I told him what I'm wearing. And his liaison guy, is holding a flag that says Rebellion. They got a Hemi Jeep with the Hemi in it. It says Rebellion. It was like the movie Ronin. It says, get in. We're flying through the streets of Switzerland in this Hemi Jeep. Flying. Cobblestone roads, I see a Countach parked in the street. He says, that's the one you sold to us. Pull in, bunch of guys sitting at a table. We're at this little like cafe or something, having breakfast in the morning. We wrap it up, have our breakfast, and we leave. I'm back in the Jeep with the driver. He gets a phone call. Alex just got in an accident. Who's the team principal for Rebellion who bought the car from me. They, speaking French, they fly over. There's a Countach in a roundabout, small crash in the front. A teacher ran into him pulling out of a school. And he's leaning on the car, smoking a cigarette. Leaning on the wing in a suit, just smoking a cigarette. Pull up, the driver's checking him. They're speaking French. Yes, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Everything's good. I'm a little embarrassed, he says. Takes out a cell phone. He goes, Michelle, bring me the McLaren. Now we're standing in the streets, right? McLaren pulls up, doors pop open. It was the older one from 2013 when they first came out with that body style. So Alex says to me, Tony, get in. Now we're jamming through the streets, heading back to headquarters. I'm like, this is nuts. This whole thing is crazy. Go to bed that night, wake up the next morning. I get a phone call. Today you got to pick up a package for me in France. The drivers will be there. Now he calls early. It's like 5:30 in the morning. Drivers will be there at this time. Can you go for me? I'm thinking, what are these? Are these good people? I don't even know if I'm in, I'm like, what kind of package am I picking up? This is all crazy. I said, sure, I'll go. I come outside. I'm eating a fruit salad and fruit in the morning. I go outside. There's no clouds. All I see is these mountains. I'm like, wow. I got goosebumps thinking of it. I'm like, holy, look at this stuff. Everything at that moment went away. All the sadness and the ex-wife or the going through a separation, my dad being sick. I remember looking at the mountain and thinking, if she was on that mountain, I couldn't see her. She's that little. The world's bigger than you think. It put me in a good mood. Maserati Quattroporte pulls up. Two guys speaking French, no English at all. I had 4 years of French in high school. Don't remember any of it. They say, they were kind of like short with me, It wasn't a smile. It wasn't just get in. I have no idea where I'm going. 3.5 hours later, I pull up to a mansion. I see a factory with, the white Bugatti with the blue wheels? It was like a famous one. It was like a rare one. It was a Veyron. It was white with these blue wheels. I remember seeing photos of the car, and I see that car, and I realize I'm at the Bugatti factory. Get out of the car. The technician's wearing a suit and has a briefcase. I'm like, what are we doing? He says, the one guy, broken English, says, you're driving the Veyron back. I'm driving a Veyron back? This is crazy. They say you can't bring your camera in the factory, but you can bring it in the mansion. So we go in the mansion. There's hors d'oeuvres, and the technician opens up the briefcase. There's 2 keys that are in there. He's got to program the car and get it ready. So he's in there doing that. They're all talking in French, and he said, we're going to go inside the factory, do a little tour. Remember, there's no walls in there. It's just all open. They make the women do the interior, getting ready to drive the car back. They say, you're driving it. I'm like, oh, man, this is crazy. So I'm driving a car back from the factory to Switzerland, and I'm thinking, this is nuts. This whole thing is like craziest thing. I don't know what these road signs mean. And I'm driving in this car. Like, if I was in a Countach, I could have enjoyed this. Everybody asked me, what was it like? Everybody's a Bugatti fan. I'm not. The car does nothing for me. They grew on me. They, like anything else, you grow appreciation for it. Powerful and nerve-wracking combined. When we get to France, or the checkpoint where the guys are holding machine guns, he said, before we get there, we're going to switch seats, and we're going to drive it through that section. We switch our seats, we're driving through the checkpoint, and I fall asleep from that part all the way back home. And I wake up, and I just remember the song being out at that time. I woke up on a Bugatti. So thank God I videoed all of this. The car crashing, the McLaren pulling up, eating the pizza with the guys. This whole thing, I was like, nobody's going to believe this stuff. This was just, the whole thing was a dream come true. We get to where he keeps all his cars. He's got like a dealership. He's got all the race cars and his collection there. And I get out of the car and I said, man, that was nerve-wracking. I'm driving $1 million car on the street. I have no license. And he says, $1 million car? It's one of 30 super sports, $2.5 million. Going through that nasty breakup was the hardest thing I ever did in my life, and my dad being sick. Staring at that mountain, giving me hope again, giving me life, like, man, the world's way bigger than what's going on in my house. There's a whole world out there. I felt like I owed rebellion. I was like, if it wasn't for this trip, I might still be back in Orlando miserable today. I might be still married in a relationship I didn't want to be in. What I did was I went and got the logo and the signature tattooed on my arm. The reason I did that is that was my reminder of that day staring at that mountain, because we became best friends. The owner and I mean, he calls me a rock star. He's like, dude, we always have a great time when you're around. I get invited to all the races when they're here in the States. When they're not racing anymore, but when they were, we became buds. One of the drivers told me, he loves your signature, Tony. He had me sign one of the Rebellion hats, and it's in his trophy room. So when I did the signature tattoo and I heard what he did, I was like, oh, okay, cool. There's a nice swap. Became best friends, and anytime it's holidays, we reach out to each other, or my father had passed, he reached out to me. The future is only going to be brighter. We still do some stuff together, pick each other's brains, or try to place cars with each other as well.
When you're buying a pre-owned car, it is critical to get a professional mechanic to inspect it every time. And so the Lemon Squad is the easiest way to do that, and the most affordable. Generally within 24 or 48 hours, they can get somebody on site anywhere in the country with their nationwide network of trained professional mechanics that are going to give you a ton of pictures and a full report of exactly what's going on with this car. It's a great way to avoid scams, and it's a great way to get a very clear picture of the car that you're buying, and this ammunition can make you the shrewdest negotiator of all. It also makes the drive home a whole lot easier and keeps a little bit more money in your pocket, and I know that you'll love the results from the Lemon Squad. So check them out now at the link in the description below for a special discount and to make sure that you're buying the car that you think you are.